Hello everyone, welcome to Everyday Living with Simply Mercy B. Today we're holiday prepping. This process to pre-making sweet potato pie filling and freezing it a week ahead will definitely help with a stress-free and a more enjoyable cooking experience. The first thing I'm going to do is get my sweet potatoes all washed and cleaned up from any debris and dirt that was collected during the harvesting process. I have my potatoes all cleaned up. Now I'm going to poke some holes in them because we're going to be baking these in the oven. Now you can always boil your sweet potatoes, but I absolutely love the flavor of a baked potato in my pie filling. So we're going to bake these in a 400 degrees oven for 1.5 hours or until they're tender. Okay guys, it's the next day and our potatoes are completely cool. So now it's time to remove the skin from the potato. I'm going to share my process of how I peel my sweet potatoes and get them prepared for my sweet potato pie. So I simply cut the ends off my potatoes, I split them down the center, and I peel the skin off. I'm also cutting out any dark spots from the flesh, whether it came from the potato or during the baking process. I'm just going to cut those out because I don't want them in my final product. And then I'm going to add them to a mixing bowl. Guys, I'm sharing this process because we have some inexperienced cooks out there, we have beginner cooks out there, or we have somebody out there who's trying to cook something for the first time to impress their guests. And this process might be helpful to someone. So I decided to come and share. And I certainly hope you appreciate it and I hope you can get something out of it. Okay, so we're going to move on. I'm using my stand mixer. It's going to make life easier for me. However, if you do not have a stand mixer, a hand mixer will work just fine. But you're going to be doing a little bit of work. This is absolutely a process, but the end results are amazing. Okay, let's talk about it. No one likes a stringy sweet potato pie. That is the worst experience ever, in my opinion. I will not enjoy a sweet potato pie if it is loaded with strings. You are pulling strings after every bite. This is why I'm using my whisk so I can beat all those strings out of my potatoes. So here I'm pointing out how all the strings have collected onto my whisk. So to loosen those strings up, I have some evaporated milk and I'm going to add this to my bowl and we're going to continue mixing. This is going to thin our filling out and the strings will start collecting on the whisk and you will see it throughout the process. Now I'm going to start adding some brown sugar and I'm going to start off with a 1/2 cup. I'm going to leave the recipe for the ingredients that I'm using to make this particular batch of sweet potato pie filling. There are so many different recipes, but I'm giving you this basic one and it's a good one. I'm going to continue to add my evaporated milk to the mixture and then I'm going to add some white granulated sugar. And I like to do this process before I start adding any spices and flavoring to my filling. Trying to get as many of those strings beat out of these potatoes as I can before I start adding in any spices. We have constantly been mixing our filling with our evaporated milk and our sugar. And as you can see, we have quite a few strings that's attached to our whisk. And you want to gently shake those off. You don't want to knock them off. Just gently shake them off. Check that out. See those strings? We definitely have to get rid of those. So we're going to go ahead and rinse our whisk. We're going to reattach it and keep going. You also want to make sure you scraping the bottom of your mixing bowl to make sure you don't have any clumps that has formed at the bottom. So we want everything well incorporated. I'm going to add the remainder of my evaporated milk, and I have already tasted my filling and I need to adjust my sweetness. So I'm going to add some more granulated sugar to the mix. You just want to make sure you're tasting your filling because some potatoes are sweeter than others, and sometimes you have to add a little bit more sugar. We're still collecting strings, so we're going to continue that process of mixing, removing, and rinsing off our whisk, and continue the process until we are string free. We are at my favorite part. I really enjoy spicing up my pie. So I'm going to start by adding me some cinnamon in here, followed by one of my favorite spices, which is nutmeg. And I'm going to add some nutmeg to the mix, followed by just a tad bit of allspice. Throw in a couple of pinches of salt and get everything all mixed together. Take a look at that beautiful mixture. It absolutely reminds you of fall, Thanksgiving, holidays. Perfect. Now we're going to add some flavoring to the mix. And I have my homemade vanilla extract. And if you want to see how that process is made, I'm going to link that video down below because I made some homemade vanilla extract earlier this year and I get to use it in all of my holiday recipes. I'm also going to use some vanilla bean paste. You know, I just like layering those flavors. As you can see, our strings are getting less and less. We're going to rinse our whisk one more time and we're going to scrape everything down, and now it's time to taste. You want to taste and make sure you have all the flavors that you're looking for in your sweet potato pie. And I think we're there. But you know, I am a nutmeg lover in my sweet potato pies. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that and just a pinch of more salt. At this time, you can also add any special ingredients that you like, any secret ingredients that you have. It doesn't matter. This is your pie. Any flavor that you like in a sweet potato pie, go ahead and add it to it. And the next thing we're going to add is our butter. We're going to add our butter in slowly. And we are almost done with this beautiful, silky smooth sweet potato pie filling. You want to go ahead and give your filling one more final taste. And if it's to your liking, then it's time to move to the final step. Now, as you can see, we didn't add any eggs. That's the only ingredient that we are not going to add. We will definitely add those to our mix before we bake our pies. So let's now move on to our freezing process. But first, I want to give you one final look at our whisk. We are strain free and we now have a silky smooth pie filling. You want to choose a container that you can freeze. And this is how we're going to store our sweet potato pie filling. Now this is my tip. I like to go ahead and measure off my sweet potato pie filling because I know that it takes 2 cups of pie filling for a regular sized pie shell, and that is plenty enough to have you a nice full pie. And this is a 8-cup container. Therefore, I am going to yield 4 pies using a regular sized pie shell. If you desire deep dish pie shell, you'll probably be able to get 3 good pies out of this. Add your pie filling to your container to freeze, or you can also use a Ziploc bag, a Ziploc freezer bag. Those are also good, but I am using this container because it just works for me. Now I am making my pie filling a week ahead of time, and I am going to add some extra security to it by using some press and seal wrap to put over my container before I place the lid on top. And finally, I'm going to make a note to add eggs to the filling before baking. Guys, I certainly hope this process of me making my sweet potato pie filling has been informative for you. I hope it helps. I hope it makes your holiday cooking and baking much easier because as you can see, making sweet potato pie filling is a process if you want string-free sweet potatoes and you want it to be nice and flavorful. Guys, I thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you like these type videos, please leave me some comments and I will be happy to give you some step-by-step with tips. With that being said, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye.